It's that time again. Boku no Hero reviewing time.
Lord Explosion Murders here. I'm sure I'm missing parts of that name.
Probably?
Oh boy, this is totally Bakugo's episode, and shockingly wraps everything up in like 15 minutes.
Great explosion murder god dynamite.
Wow, all right.
No, I think it was less than 15 minutes.
I mean, like the actual episode time,
Okay.
like not in game time, in show time. In show time, it's like it was less than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Bakugo just utterly destroys everything. His whole plan going in was like, all right, you watch my back, I watch yours. That's it. Also, here's a couple grenades.
I was just a little bit surprised that he didn't just blow everything to hell and be like, okay, I'm gonna drag everybody into jail.
I was really expecting him to go a bit more haywire on it. I'll be real.
Yeah.
Like he did, but he did so in a way more controlled way than I would have expected him to do. One of the first things he fucking does is like dodge a shot, only to then like step on the back of Jiro, use her as like a pole vault or whatever, a stepping stone, and then just like blast the blade dude in the face.
And at the same time, he kind of protected Jiro.
Oh yeah, no, he did. Which I'm always happy about because Jiro is best girl. Oh, so yeah, they definitely did the thing I was expecting where Weld Dude was just gonna like fuse someone to a wall. Um and honestly, had he not had the backup of Sugar Rush, Sato, he would have totally been in trouble. Because he
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't have been able to move. The only other thing he might have been able to potentially do was just detonate everything hard enough and drag the fucking building with him.
Maybe?
I like how Sero is just like running around like Spider-Man using his tape to web sling. Like that was cool.
Mm-hmm. And Lizardy. That is a really interesting power she has.
Yeah. See, I didn't even realize that tidbit about how they kind of die off after a while. I didn't realize that was a limitation, even when we ended up looking it up during the little spoilery section we did last week. I did not know that part, and I don't think it was said, which means she is forced to regenerate those parts regardless of whether they're destroyed or not, if they're away for too long. If I'd known that, it would have been better to like assume that Cedar would have done exactly what he did, which was like tape some of them down so they couldn't get back to the main body.
Yeah, and I thought it was just a little bit weird that she can like separate her mouth and the mouth still works normally. I know this is all animated suspension of disbelief, but that's just one thing that I was just a little bit on. Okay, now how would this work in a normal sense?
Well, the way I got it, at least to this extent, right, is that like when she separates them out, they turn into what looks like fleshy, I guess, kind of scales, which we see like slapping and making noise, right? But they can like whenever she wants, I assume, she can morph them back into whatever component of her body they came from, right? In that case, it's the mouth. Um, how she's actually talking, I don't know, considering that her lungs are clearly not there. But it was enough to have like vocal cords to talk with.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe like the part of her body that would like the esophagus or whatever it would be that's like pulling the air through is able to just like suction up the air around her to pass through the vocal cords to make her voice.
So if she would have her fingers broken for something, could she throw off her hand, grow a new hand with completely repaired fingers?
I think so. That's the implication because it says she can regenerate the parts of her body. Um, but from what I recall, it does take a lot of her stamina to do so. But yeah, she could just Piccolo regenerate, I guess, if she wanted to.
If she would like break a bone, like that would be
Yeah,
easy, easy quote unquote way.
yeah, she could probably just like she could probably still use it as scales if she wanted to, even if her arm's busted.
Hmm.
And then at that point, if she needs to regenerate, she can.
And I think it said she has a piece limitation.
50. At this point, she can split it into 50.
That's right. That's right.
We have what's the other dude's name here? His name is Togaru Kamakiri. Jack Mantis, that was his hero name. We have him coming in with being able to like just grow blades out of any part of his body, I guess. Was the quirk? Even the point that like when Bakugo blasts him away, he literally sprouts a blade out of his back to catch himself, like from being blown through the rest of the goddamn like buildings and pipes and shit. Literally everything in here is basically a carry. Like, how do we support Bakugo? And that was literally it. Like, it was good teamwork, and it clearly did the thing. 4-0 win, but like, holy shit.
Very good teamwork.
Shockingly good teamwork considering it's Bakugo.
I was just a little bit surprised that even though Bakugo was like, hey, let me do everything, that he half relied on other people to build him up so he could be like the main guy.
We're surprised that they didn't play his anger out on him. Like, they didn't rile him up or anything to like get him to screw up his concentration on what he's doing.
Yeah, that would be a good way to stop him.
Like, yeah, and it's something that they would know. Like, play the guy's own personality against him, and to a degree, that was their original plan, right? It was to use Bakugo as the team's own worst enemy by like indulging and getting him to lose his shit. Unfortunately, they didn't do it in the correct way. They expected him to go off on his own and do his own shit, and that was not happening here. That is definitely, though, something to take into consideration just how mobile Bakugo can be. And Sero as well, I guess, to a certain degree, with his tape.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we got Glue Squall. I'm a little surprised that didn't cause more of an issue, though.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, now that I'm thinking about it, doesn't this guy kind of look like Oogie Boogie from Nightmare Before Christmas?
I haven't seen that movie in ages, but maybe a little bit now that I'm looking at it.
I swear he reminds me of Oogie Boogie. Looks like a big burlap sack boy. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised they didn't cause more issues, honestly. Then again, they kind of used it to just collapse everything in on everybody, rather than, like, setting a glue trap.
A glue trap would have been really fascinating.
It would have probably caused an issue. It would probably have caught two of them, since Bakugo's literally technically just flying around, and Sero's just swinging from place to place. But it would have caught the other two for sure. Like, Jiro and Sato don't have any way to just like keep themselves off the ground. Oh, that'd be interesting though. Could Jiro technically use her like earphone jacks to swing around with? Or are they not strong enough for something like that?
They're probably not strong enough.
Gotta do some pull-ups with those things.
Making them very swole.
Yeah, that'd be interesting if she could do that, because like to use them as a rope to like grab someone or save someone that's falling or about to fall. It could be super useful, but I don't know how feasible that would be considering what they are. So yeah, there's not much more to talk about. I'm kind of surprised the welding thing didn't get more play, because that seemed like it was going to be a freaking game changer as far as a quirk goes.
I thought the glue guy would have been more of a threat.
Heck, I mean, if Weldman could have gotten like two of the guys people fused together, what then? Like, they're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
Like, I get he has to be touching them, therefore it needs to be close range, but still, like, the potential havoc that could have wreaked if it had been used properly is insane. I mean, there's not much else I think we can say about this fight. It's over so quickly that, like, it's like a blur. It feels like, especially after 3 other matches of 2 episode fights.
It probably wasn't even a chapter in. Okay, maybe it was one chapter in the manga.
Yeah, whereas other ones were maybe 2 chapters or 3 chapters or something.
I'm not 100% sure because a few minutes ago I was just looking at chapter length, and typically it seems a chapter in this arc, an episode in this arc was 3 chapters. So a fight may be 4 chapters long or something. This one just seemed like one chapter. And I just love how mad Vlad got.
Oh yeah, he's so upset about it. I like how even like All Might comes up to be like, "Oh man, Bakugo, you did a great job." Shut up!
And Deku comes up, "Hey, great job out there. Get out of my way." I'm not even.
Your way.
I'm not even.
I'm over here. You're walking that way. Just walks up. You have a good friend, Midoriya. It's like, yeah, I know. He yells at everyone. If only he could be more polite.
And that Monoma guy.
Oh yeah.
I do not like him.
Why? Because he's just mentally broken by the fact that like Bakugo has not just gone and cannibalized everyone else, basically.
Yeah.
It's like, but I need to be better than Class A. We need to be. We must be.
And how he was like laughing maniacally about how Bakugo will be their downfall.
I know. And just the mental snap of like, wait a minute. But his personality shit. What? Who is this?
Oh, my personality didn't change out there. I was still me, but I was just supporting others.
Oh my god. We got a little bit of a tidbit. It seems like most of the others for Class A on the next team are like thinking they may not be in the best situation for their team composition.
Yeah, because
I mean, I was going to say, let's be real. How many of these quirks can really be used to their full potential here? Because, I mean, Mina can't use her acid to actually inflict damage on people, really.
gravity is kind of useless here.
She could set traps like she did during the during the original tournament arc that they had in like season 2. She set traps before where she had just like a massive amount of shit just floating in the air that nobody noticed during the fight.
Maybe.
Until she was ready to drop it. Like, the biggest problem with Uravity is the fact that, like, her quirk doesn't allow you to have much in the way of mobility, let's say, because you can't really control where you're going. Although, actually, now that I think about it, in this environment, it might actually not be that bad, because they could start bouncing around off of different, like, pipes and shit. So that might actually be useful for the mobility because of the area they're in, specifically. Although, I'm not sure how this would work. Because I was thinking, what happens if we mix the grape shots, like the pop-off there, with Uravity's skills, but that means she has to touch them to make them float, and those things will stick to everything. So I don't know if that would even work, because it wouldn't just stick to her hand at that point.
And doesn't Monoma have some kind of stealing ability? No, like, I mean, not like full on stealing, but he can like take their quirk and make it his own.
Let's see here.
Because he has a copy quirk.
Well, actually, that one was said, so let's go ahead and just read off exactly what it can do. Since that one, this isn't a spoiler, since they mentioned it in the preview. Duplicate and use another person's quirk after coming into physical contact with the user. Oh shit, he can hold more than one. He can hold 4 quirks at a time and maintain the copied powers for 10 minutes. After the time limit runs out, he loses the copied quirk until he once again touches the original user. He gains full access to the quirk he's copied and can use it however he likes. However, he cannot simultaneously use multiple quirks, only one at a time. Oh, interesting. Okay, interesting.
So he's kind of all for one. Slightly.
In like the most minimal of senses, I guess you could say, yeah. So this is something I was curious about, and I forget if we brought it up during our Lost Boku no Hero episode. When we reviewed, what was it? I think seasons 1, 2, and maybe 3. This is exactly something I was curious about, how that would affect One for All. And I will bring this up once we get into the spoiler section. Which do we want to jump into now, or is there anything else we want to mention here? Before we get into the spoiler section of enemy quirks and our assumption based on those of how this fight might turn out.
Hold on. Do they have the next? No, the wiki does not have the next episode title up yet.
The next episode title is That Which Is Passed Down, I think it was.
Because of that title, I am going to guess that One for All also. How do we want to phrase this? Because you
want all the points. You want all the points. Is that where this is going?
No, I want partial points. I'm going for partial points here. Oh. And speaking about partial points, you were right. Engine leg guy, Ingenium, he never pulled out his pipe legs before.
Yeah, I thought that was never mentioned before.
Yeah, although I could have sworn they did. Somebody mentioned on Reddit that they never happened before.
Thought so.
But my guess is that some remnant of prior users' quirks are now stored in One for All, and with a
how would that work, though?
Like I said, I don't know. Like, somehow Deku could have some sonic screaming power if he would be able to tap into it. I don't know. I'm just going by the title, which I think you said was That Which Is Inherited. I'm just guessing there is more to All for One than just the quirk being able to be passed down.
So something that All Might doesn't know about, even from his own teacher.
Maybe All Might couldn't tap into it because
but he doesn't even know about it, is my point. Wouldn't his original teacher have told him? Like Nana?
Wasn't he surprised that Deku saw the vestiges?
He said he's seen those before. He just hasn't seen them in the way that Deku has, right? Like he says, yes, I've seen them before. But they're just kind of, at the peripherals of your vision. He doesn't usually see them head on the way Deku did. Or like in the dream he had. But even then, you would think that if there was more stored quirks or something like that, he'd have either seen his teacher do it, or she would have said something about it. And therefore he'd have at least some knowledge of it. Having multiple quirks.
I guess you have a point there. I was just taking a random guess just by the title.
I mean, it's a fair guess. My other thought would be everything we know about One for All is that it stores energy, not a quirk.
So would it store the energy of all the prior users?
I think that's the idea. When I think the idea, as far as like how the quirk itself works, it's like if you have extra energy you aren't using, it's being stored in the quirk itself, right? Like if you're walking to school, you're not doing the full run. All the extra calories that you might have laying around in your body are just being put into all for one for later usage.
So we might get some energy from Nana.
Well, I mean, what is it? All Might said that every single user has been storing up the energy since its inception, right? If you're not going 100%, then whatever's not there or not being used is being stored. And
So
that's been the case over the last, what, 8 people at this point?
yeah.
So, yes, the energy Nana didn't use herself is stored in the quirk. Plus, we don't even know if she had a quirk.
She did. I remember Nana had some kind of floating quirk.
Hmm.
I'm not exactly sure what it was, but
I don't know if we looked that up, because I know that she has that, but I don't remember if that was ever stated in the show.
I think it might have been. But then again, I was thinking Ingenia pulled out his tube legs before, and I was wrong there.
Yes, yes, you were. I should have told you. I'd put down $5 that you're wrong.
I would have been down $5.
All right, spoilery section.
Will I be down more money about my theory on guessing solely because of the title? Find out next week on another review. So you can end here if you don't want to be spoiled.
Are they gone? Are we good?
We should be.
All right. So here's the tidbit that I just noticed here. That kind of answers my question of copying quirks like Toga would do, right? Because I think that's where I got it from before about Toga copying people's quirks along with their looks. Because I'm still not sure if that's ever been confirmed that she can do or not. Especially if they're like physical quirks like Froppy's tongue and stuff. Uh, so a copied quirk, at least in this guy's case. So he can't effectively use copied quirks that require previously stored resources, such as One for All, which is like, as we discussed, power, or Fat Gum's fat absorption ability.
Hmm.
So stuff that would have required things being stored, he can't use it correctly. He can copy them, but because the store, like, he can copy the mechanics of the quirk, but not the resources that already exist, which is extremely interesting. He is also limited by his own body, so he wouldn't have the strength necessary to properly handle powerful quirks that require years of physical conditioning to use without bodily harm. So potentially, if he copied Bakugo's explosions, he might blow his own arm off.
Oh. So he can't copy Jiro's because, I mean, he could, but he wouldn't have the range that her earlobes have, right?
Yeah, it seems like he wouldn't, without the training, that, like, he'd have the base quirk. He wouldn't have anything that would require like the training for it. For instance, like the way Jiro was like stabbing shit during that training arc and to harden up her headphone jacks. He does use Bakugo's explosion though at one point, but he must only use it temporarily, like not super powerful, just enough. Because he did that back in season 2, it looks like, and I forgot about that.
Hmm. Who else do we have?
Interesting. Okay. Uh, Here's one. So the one girl apparently has, and I don't know if we got a really good shot of her in the preview. The one girl that's on here kind of has a suit that reminds me of Ultraman.
Oh, really?
What's her full name here? Yui Kodai. Let me pull her up and I'll shoot you an image of her quick. Unless you want to look that up yourself.
I am looking. There she is.
Yeah, her outfit kind of reminds me of Ultraman.
It kind of does.
So her quirk is called Size. Yui's quirk grants her the ability to alter the size of non-living objects that she has interacted with. It appears to be activated by touching her fingertips together. So similar to Uravity's trigger for activating it, she can increase the size of non-living things, which kind of makes me wonder how she's gonna go against Uravity there. Because size won't matter. Your gravity just gets rid of it completely. Like that size no longer, or the weight no longer matters.
Hmm.
Next we have, oh, the girl that looks like a snow witch or ghost or whatever. Or a zombie. What's her name? Reiko Yanagi. Or Yanagi. What is her quirk? Okay, it is ghostly. Poltergeist. Reiko's quirk allows her to telekinetically control nearby objects. The weight limit of her quirk is roughly the weight of an average human. So, is that per object or is that in total? Would be my question.
Hmm.
Like, could she juggle multiple people, for example? Or is it like I can only lift the total weight of what would be a human weight? That could totally be useful. There are plenty of ways just telekinetically lifting shit, and it doesn't seem like she even needs to touch it or anything. Actually, she could fuck around with a lot of gravity shit. She kind of hard counters that.
Oh.
I'm not actually sure about this one, but technically she could also hard counter everyone but Deku. Because, I mean, I don't know how she works with liquid, but she could just lift the acid off of things, technically. She could maybe pull up Minoru's stuff if it doesn't touch anything beforehand, like his grapes and stuff. She could just lift that if it's not already stuck to something.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine those weigh that much. Yeah, she could totally hard counter, especially if she can lift the acid, because she could just use that to dissolve Minoru's grapes and I guess whatever else uh, Ochiko has like floating in the air. Yeah, actually, in this matchup, she's a pretty hard counter. Deku's the only one that could really deal with her effectively if she uses her quirk in a clever way. We already know Brainwashing Boy. We know his abilities. Don't need to go over that. Last guy, which is the guy with the scouter. God damn, he really does look like he's out of the fucking Ginyu Force almost. Like he's got the armor there. He's just missing like the shoulder pads and shit. And his hero outfit makes him look way bulkier than he actually is. What's his name? Nirengeki Shoda. What is your quirk? Twin Impact. His quirk allows him to strike a target and then make the point of contact. Oh, interesting. Point of contact experience a second impact. The second impact is several times stronger than the initial blow. He also uses this quirk on objects to send them flying at an opponent or send impossible weapons away. Or send possible weapons away. So wait, his quirk's like that one user in part 5 who would like freeze something in time and just keep tapping until it got so much momentum built up it was like a bullet? Except this time he only needs to do it once.
Oh yeah, I remember that now.
So it's almost like that. That's actually really interesting. And he can use it on any other... that really fucks up... a lot of these really screw over Ochiko and her like fucking gravity abilities. Like, holy shit. Like, she specifically gets screwed over with just any of these in a one-on-one. And Minoru couldn't take it. Minoru's got, like, no durability, from what I can tell. So he gets shot down with something, it's done.
Yeah, so it seems that everybody might get captured pretty easily except for Deku.
Yeah, none of them counter Deku too hard. The only one that has a chance to, I think, is potentially Shinzo and maybe Monoma. But and more of it's got to be like combo attacks to deal with him. None of it in a one-on-one has a chance against him.
So yeah, this is going to be quite interesting. Do you think this last fight will be more than 2 parts to kind of compensate for a better choice of words that round 4 was only 1 episode?
I'm feeling like this will probably end up being at least a 2-parter, probably 3, depending on how things go down. Because we saw that little bit in the preview about Deku's quirk kind of going off the rails again here. So who knows what kind of mental landscape we might get thrown into that might make the episodes take longer.
Do you think Shinzo will awaken the quirk? Like, because last time he tried to use brainwashing on Deku, that amped up his all for one. I mean, Damn it, one for all. And maybe when he tries to brainwash Deku again, one for all stage 3 will come out.
We'll see. I'm not sure. Until I read that bit about Monoma's powers, I was wondering if that would trigger it. Like having a. Well, actually, here's something I'm curious about. When he copies it, does that include the vestiges, or is it like he's the very first user of All for One, or One for All? Like, does it work in that case? Like, he's the very first user of One for All again, where there's nothing stored up whatsoever and no vestiges or anything.
I'm not sure. We're going a tiny bit long, so I think it's time to wrap this up.
Oh, there was a lot to talk about when it came to like just theorizing where this is going.
Yeah. But anyway, come back next week for some round 5 fun.
I'm curious where it goes. I want to know.
Me too.
This is the shit that we've been building toward. This has got to be good.
Catch everybody next week.
Bye.